I wanted to check out the Steven Crowder story. So Steven Crowder, for those of you who don't know, is a conservative YouTuber. I think now he also does stuff on Rumble, but he's been getting in a lot of controversy. And back in the day, it was controversy over like, wow, he dressed up like an Arab and said he was gonna blow up this and blow up that. He did this like racist joke here where he dressed up as a Chinese guy and dunked babies in water and made like weird noise, and like those were the controversies. And on the right, that type of stuff was like, well, I mean, it's humor, it is what it is. On the left, that was a little bit more disgusted, and of course they didn't like his politics already, and those two things came together, made him a pretty gross, a pretty unliked person on the left. It wasn't just that Steven Crowder's politics were, well, I'm just gonna say, to me, disagreeable. It was also the way he displayed himself and presented himself was always very gross to people on the left. But the right had generally stuck by him. Then he hit kind of, I would say, rough waters, really. Pretty rough waters, after he get into the spat with the Daily Wire over a contract and disagreements about how much he should have been offered and what they did offer behind closed doors on a contract. And it got to the point where originally he was using it to blow up, to show like, look, I'm standing up to big conservative media. At the end of it, he got away with it, I think, with a few licks, man, with a few scratches, where some people were questioning his motives, what he was trying to do, and if he really thinks he's worth more than the millions that they were offering him already. Then a big scandal with him and his wife broke about not only him getting divorced from his wife and a divorce happening because his wife doesn't want to be with him anymore, but also footage being leaked about his confrontations and verbal arguments with his wife, who was pregnant at the time, who he wanted to go and get groceries, which many people judged online. But of course, we only saw a clip, and the clip we saw was bad, mind you, but we only saw one clip of their relationship. And while his ex-wife is certainly saying that she was not treated well, and more information is coming to light, we still don't have a full picture. But that was another moment where I would say the Steven Crowder ship took another scratch or two. I would even say more than a few scratches. I would say a lot more scratches than the Daily Wire situation. But in the background of all of this, I always heard like, oh man, wait till like the Not Gay Jared stuff drops. Or like Not Gay Jared, like I heard that's a thing too that might happen. Or just like the idea of Not Gay Jared. Now, for those of you who don't know who Not Gay Jared was his co-host. And I'm saying Not Gay Jared because that's what they referred to him as. It was Not Gay Jared, real name Jared Monroe. And eventually he left the show. And there was a agreement that Steven Crowder was trying to get him to sign to not talk about the show. And he had a lot of legal troubles with the show, which made it so that due to what other people had said about a non-disclosure agreement that Jared was being forced into. I know Candace Owens brought a lot of attention to this, and she's in her own beef right now with the Daily Wire, so it seems like all of this stuff is coming full circle. It's the circle of life, at least the life cycle of the internet. Now we're getting Jared Monroe coming forward for the first time talking about it in public, with the message, I didn't want to do this, freejaredmonroe.com. And if you go to freejaredmonroe.com, it's a fundraiser for his family's legal fund to fight Steven Crowder. It's already raised $56,000. It has a goal of $100,000. Honestly, seeing at the speed that people are donating, and I'm seeing donations of 1.5 there, 50 there, 30 there. He's going to hit $100,000 easy, and there's a good chance he's going to get past $100,000. So it doesn't seem like he's going to have any problem funding his legal battle with Steven Crowder, who he accuses of continuing to pressure him and bully him with legal filings way after his employment ended out of spite and to keep him shut up about the type of behavior that he saw while working with Steven Crowder. But now he's coming forward and he released a over 15-minute video. Already got 4 million views, but again, views on Twitter just should scroll by, so keep that in mind. 12,000 likes, getting some attention, getting shared around. This is going to make waves in the conservative space. And Steven Crowder's ship, I don't want to say it's been sinking, but it hasn't been headed in the right direction. And this certainly isn't going to help, especially if he raises the money, which it looks like he's going to. Let's check out what Jared has to say about Steven Crowder.
Enough is enough. This can't go on.
Let me turn this up a little bit more. Enough is enough, huh? Enough is enough.
Any longer. And as the famous saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant. So here we go. I'm currently being legally abused and intimidated into silence by a former employer. This has been going on for a while now, and it simply
there we go.
Cannot live in darkness for another day. But I am asking for your help to fight back. First, some context. In late October of 2023, to my surprise, I was served these papers. A cease and desist from my former employer. It threatened severe legal action in the form of a lawsuit and demanded I cease communications with my friends. The scare tactics of cease and desist are generally to intimidate, isolate, and eventually devastate. Like most cease and desist, it also demanded that I swiftly provide them written certificate.
Oh, Buffalo, Trestaku, and Bob and Wap, thank you so much for all the subs and starting a hype train, even if it didn't go past level 1. I appreciate the support, buddies.
Of my compliance. I did not. In the same delivery, I was also served these papers. A Rule 202 petition from my former employer. You can look that up on the internet. I know I had to. These documents were filed with the county court of my former place of employment, demanding that I be subject to an oral deposition under oath for an unlimited amount of time, where they were free to interrogate me on pretty much any private matter that they chose. Also, in this petition for discovery, they demanded that I turn over documents of all communications with more than a dozen of my friends, an unlimited amount of unnamed persons in any form, and over an unlimited period of time.
Damn.
I did not. Now, I did not for a few reasons. Number one, I have seen how this employer handles legal issues, and I knew that once I opened the door to legal abuse, it would never, ever be shut. This is how they operate. In fact,
there's been a lot of rumors about the Crowder show being very Sue happy and trying to tie people up in NDAs. Candace Owens has raised a lot of noise about this. I already said that earlier, but other people have raised noise about this for a while. So, I mean, this is just him reinforcing what has already been a rumor for a very long time.
I'm not the only one who's a current victim.
There it is.
My former employer is exploiting the legal system to abuse others right now, all in the darkness, fully knowing that the fear and risks it takes to speak up. This kind of harassment at the hands of the powerful isn't just designed to financially ruin somebody, it's designed to cripple their soul. Now, I wasn't about to put my family on embarking upon a journey down that road. Number two, I was not about to allow the privacy of my personal life, the trust I have with my friends, and the real relationships I have with them to be violated in such an vindictive and abusive manner. It simply was not going to happen. I received the latest article of legal harassment on Friday, March 22nd, 2024. After a month now of litigation exhausting even the court with relentless amendments to their Rule 202 petition, my ex-employer was finally awarded their request for my...
Yo, maybe the only way Sam Cedar could have ever gotten Steven Crowder to face him down was if he got him into a courtroom. Seems like that's the only way you can communicate with him. Damn, it's legal filing after legal filing after legal filing.
My oral deposition and any document of communication with my friends that they believe may provide any avenue to sue me or others. As it stands, they await my forced cooperation.
Mr. Delight.
I will not. I will continue to fight. Now, here's the big question, is what was their entire reason for this harassment and the basis for their claims? These documents, an NDA. Some more context. I signed this separation agreement, an NDA, containing a strict and very broad non-disparagement clause many years ago. I voluntarily left my job after deciding I could no longer put myself or my growing family through the toxic and abusive work environment I had endured for years. This place was and is to this day a workplace rife with sexual misconduct, degeneracy, and aggression.
Damn.
The things I saw
Degeneracy, aggression, and sexual misconduct. I mean, we would have to know the details of the sexual misconduct. He's in an NDA though, so man, again, this really can't go any further in trying to get to the bottom of this unless he's willing to blow through that NDA. So I mean, this is why I guess he wants all of the money. I'm watching this for the first time with you guys. I knew that he was going to the legal route, but I knew sexual misconduct was talked about. But as of right now, can he not talk about the sexual misconduct until the NDA is gone? So he's asking for the money to get rid of it. That makes sense. Damn. Crowder is going to fight this tooth and nail if there's real evidence of sexual misconduct in there. I don't know what degeneracy means. I've heard the rumors of Crowder showing other coworkers his penis and stuff. I've heard that. But sexual misconduct, maybe that's part of the sexual misconduct. But we're going to have to get more details here. The only one that sounds slightly illegal is the sexual misconduct, unless, again, degeneracy and aggression is just very broad.
Degeneracy and aggression. The things I saw.
NDAs don't stop you from coming out about criminal behavior. The sexual misconduct could be criminal behavior, but the other things are weirdly vague, so it's hard to know what he means by aggression. Not weirdly vague, I can't know exactly what that means.
The things done to me and the things I witnessed my employer do to others were disgusting, shocking, and utterly indefensible. I have the receipts. This all took a serious toll on my personal health. To the point near the end of my tenure, the work environment had become so toxic that I had to be admitted into a heart hospital. And after many tests, I was ultimately put on anti-anxiety medication. This condition was something new to me. I had no history of it prior to my employment.
How much money you want to put on Steven Crowder going after that? I don't think Crowder is the type of show that's like, hey, antidepressants, woo, medical, therapy. I don't know. I don't know if that's I've never seen that vibe on the show, but I don't know his beliefs. What he thinks about therapy, antidepressants, and that type of stuff. I guess we're about to find out real quick.
Employment there and have never been treated for it since. Now, when I decided to resign, my wife was pregnant with our firstborn child. It was a terrifying position to be put in, but I absolutely knew that I could not be the husband or dad I was called to be for them in my current state. Something had to change, and if I couldn't change my work environment, then it was time for me to remove myself from it. I was fully aware that willfully resigning would mean I would forfeit any sort of severance. I trusted that God would provide. What I had not anticipated is how much it would cost me to quit. This is where my first experience with legal abuse began. Starting from the day I delivered my notice of resignation, I was put on the phone with company lawyers, and the good cop, bad cop coercion campaign to get my signature on an NDA was well underway. I was told many lies throughout this process. I immediately hired my own legal counsel, and by the grace of God, understanding my predicament, he even agreed to work for half of his normal rate. Even so, the legal fees immediately began to pile up. My former employer and his attorney argued I could not work in media anywhere in the world.
Wow.
And most certainly not in the United States for 2 years.
This is the same. Wait, I'm sorry, but this is the same Steven Crowder. This is really kicking into high gear now that I'm hearing him lay it out like this. If this is true, if confirmed, this is the same Steven Crowder who got on his knees in front of the public town square online and sabuku'd himself like, look how honorable I am for not taking this Daily Wire deal. And they're screwing over. I'm standing up for the little guy. By telling you about the Daily Wire, I'm standing up for the little guy. That's what I care about. I'm sick of these contracts taking advantage of small creators. We want to help small creatives here at the Steven Crowder Show. And he really railed on this point. And he's doing the exact behavior he was accusing other people of doing. If confirmed, that would be the case. Not only is it horribly hypocritical, I mean, it's terribly immoral on its face, I think, to try to tie people up in legal fees and legal combat because they want to resign from your workplace. If you don't want, definitely if you want the NDA to cover so much, be such an expansive NDA, stop them from working in other media. They know he works in media. Where else do you think he would go to work? Of course he would be in media. It's ridiculous. This is the same type of restrictions and abuse of authority that he was complaining about in the conservative media space. What? This is like a what? This is like a man. I can't think of a comparison to this. I mean, the hypocrisy is obvious. I'd be like Jordan. Fuck, man. I don't know. Huey Long complaining about corruption. Putin complaining about corruption. I get the hypocrisy is obvious. No wonder he wants an NDA if he's going to grandstand like that in the public square.
This is not because I involuntarily signed some sort of non-compete in my original employment agreement. It was because they decided a non-solicitation clause that was in said original agreement would retroactively be interpreted as the broadest and strictest non-compete one could draft. They told me my Twitter account, another potential lifeline to future work, which I had owned and been the sole manager of since 2009, was to be turned over to them on the argument that it was somehow their intellectual property.
They wanted his Twitter accounts? What the fuck? Dude. Could you imagine? I work for PV. I work for Progressive Victory, right? They pay me. I work with them. I wanna get progressives elected, and I'm a progressive person. It's not a secret, right? I'm open about that. Could you imagine any scenario, no matter how entwined I got with them, that they would say that the Twitter account that I've always owned and operated right now, the Twitter account that he owned and operated before working for Steven Crowder, is theirs just because they used it and got popular with them while they owned it? It's ridiculous standard. It's ridiculous. Look, let me be clear. Me and Jared Monroe probably have very little to basically no agreement on domestic politics. Probably a good chance that's also true with foreign politics. I don't know. I don't pay attention. I just know him as a sidekick to Steven Crowder. That's probably what I will always know him as, because that's just where I've seen him. But this is just, I mean, this is him. This is Steven Crowder trying to turn this man over a barrel and screw him. That's what this is. And it's obvious. And you don't need to like the guy's opinions or even like the guy to see that. It's obvious. If confirmed, of course. I'm basing this in what he's saying being true, which, of course, so far is just his testimony. We'll see about any documents that he can present. But this is a rumor that's been going around for a while. But man, they wanted the Twitter accounts? What were they going to do with the Twitter accounts? Once they got Jared Monroe's Twitter accounts, would it be, hey, hey, Jared's gone, so this is now the not gay Jared ghost account that will be tweeting to promote the show forever? What would they even use the Twitter account for? It's much more useful to them. It would be next to useless to them, because the people following it want to see Jared Monroe. If you turn it into Steven Crowder 2, it'd be worthless. What would you even use it for? It seems almost like intended to cripple him.
Presumably to keep me from working even further. My former employer even tried to claim my personal production equipment, gear I had owned for years prior to working there, as company property. After producing every receipt to validate my ownership, a vicious lie that I stole from the company was born and disseminated by my employer, by the way, breaking their side of this bogus mutual non-disparagement agreement. I have those receipts as well. All I simply wanted to do was peacefully leave.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I'm imagining getting a text from, because I also work for Offbeat Research. I imagine getting a text from Offbeat Research saying like, hey, Dylan, you know that camera you bought? It's like, if you want to quit, that's ours. Man, I couldn't even, it would be on his face so ridiculous. All he could respond is like, come and get it then. That's like, how would you even respond? I would be, if there's no way, what, would the cops come pick that up? How would that even work? He paid for it. If he could pursue, like if the cops came for it and he produced the receipts for it, then he'd be like, look, I paid for it. I have the receipts. I have the receipts for the prop. What could they do? this would have to be thrown out by a judge, right? You would hope something like this would be thrown out by a judge. But of course, if he doesn't have the money to pay for the legal fees and to win the fight, that's a problem for Jared.
It was clear by my employer, though, that this was not only unacceptable, but that I needed to be punished for doing so. Being bullied on each of these terms and many more, fighting for my basic freedoms to leave and provide for my family, immediately sent me into legal debt. I did not want to sign anything, mind you. But the negotiations with my former employer left no question that without a signed NDA, my guaranteed silence, I would undoubtedly be harassed well into the future. No matter if there are future claims against me for where I worked or what I did or what I said were legitimate or not. It didn't matter. It would cost me thousands and thousands to fight back, and they knew that. I had to make a deal with nothing but a small savings account and my last paycheck. I had to accept the deal I could afford. It's very important to note here that, where is it? It's here. I was not paid a single dollar for its consideration.
By the way, this is the same like tactics that like coal barons in West Virginia would use to shut up the press about their like this is just the most scummy of scummy business tactics you could imagine. If you are somebody who loves the quote unquote free marketplace of ideas, this is specifically against those principles. If you were a true dedicated free markets conservative, if that's what Steven Crowder is presenting himself as.
Which brings me to what you might be asking next. What was the reason I did sign this? And again, as a man with his first child on the way, the small victory I got from it. The primary reason I signed the NDA was for a small carve-out in the non-compete clause, which allowed me to freely seek employment using some of my skill sets at another specific company. At least I could feed my family. That provision, however, was a lie. And upon starting my new job at the new said company, I was giving another one of these, a cease and desist, and was promptly unlawfully terminated from that position.
Jesus Christ.
I added thousands more to my legal debt trying to fight back. My wife was very pregnant by this time, and without a financial safety net for groceries and a baby crib, much less a legal fund to file a countersuit, I simply had to let it go, trusting God had a plan. To that point, I want to say that I'm happy to report that he did have a plan, and what was intended for evil, God used for good, and it took me years to pay off my legal debt, but the story of God's faithfulness in my life became a very large part of my testimony, and I am...
Man, I'm like, it's fine. You know, his faith is his faith. I just don't know. Why would God give Stephen the power to do this to you in the first place? Question I would have. Why would God put you in the position to make you have to work off the legal debt in the first place? No, whatever.
I'm just so grateful for the opportunities that he gave me, and yeah, it's a story for another day. But back to this. While my
can't understand his plan, it's too complicated.
Supposed non-compete expired after 2 years. Unfortunately, the most egregious part of my NDA, the part that silences my free speech, has no expiration. While NDAs are classically used to protect trade secrets, unfortunately in the entertainment industry, they are too often used to protect disgusting, unlawful activity and many forms of abuse. We see examples of this all the time. Powerful people and their attorneys routinely use NDAs to silence victims in order to remain powerful people. Free speech matters. Matters a lot to me, and that's not just a t-shirt slogan. It really matters. And these kinds of NDAs right here, stemming from this, are unquestionably unconstitutional.
True.
I will not live with the burden of this unconstitutional NDA over my head for the rest of my life, especially when information I have can be used to aid other victims escape their own abusive situations, which is the context for which this former employer feels they caught me breaking my agreement. Let me be clear, what I'm afraid of is legal harassment in perpetuity, not the truth. Only one side of this ordeal is spending a fortune to hide truth and punish anyone who dares speak up for themselves or other victims. While I will not give in to the harassment by my former employer, I have to recognize that this process has already become unbearably expensive. Not only because of the general expense of the legal process, but because my former employer has seemingly unlimited wealth and resources to gleefully spend punishing powerless people. I tried to handle legal fees on my own these last months, and the fees have already reached the tens of thousands of dollars with no resolution in sight. Unstopped, this type of legal abuse could go on for years and years and quickly escalate into hundreds of thousands of dollars as I fight to protect myself and my family. I cannot put my wife and my children through this. Not again. I cannot be bound to an unconstitutional NDA like this forever. Protecting my family means finding a path that doesn't leave us in financial ruin, and we are simply out of funds, and I have no other option but to ask for help. I'm asking for donations for two reasons. Number one, obviously to help with the financial burden I've already accrued with this legal matter right here. That's taking care of. That matter is priority number one as I'm going further and further into debt.
Like, if this is like a script or something, that's okay. Are these like supposed to be legal documents? That he's like, I have the legal document right here. If he can't show it, then it could just be blank piece of paper for all we know. It's just, I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying, like, why even do it? Like, why even? If it's a script, it's a script, and I understand it, but
each passing day.
I don't know.
The second reason I'm asking for financial assistance is to proactively address my unconstitutional anti-free speech NDA, which is the basis for all of their claims against me. The simplest resolution here would be for my ex-employer to release me from the NDA. Give me and my fellow ex-employees the same free speech they publicly champion for every other American. But I can almost guarantee you that will not happen. I've already witnessed them spend unfathomable amounts of money in other cases to protect their double life and secrets.
Double life.
No more darkness. That's why, beyond the current burden I face from my ex-employer's legal abuse, I will be using these donations to fight back and file a counter motion, placing my unconstitutional NDA before a judge to have it dissolved in its entirety. I want my First Amendment rights back. I want to stop the cycle of abuse, and I want truth to be known. This takes incredible resources I simply don't have. Truthfully, I don't know how much money this will take, probably much more than my current goal is, but every penny I do have left from your donations will go toward helping other ex-employees, dear friends of mine, fight back and escape their identical situations with the same employer. To accept donations, I've set up a GoFundMe, and to make it easy, you can go to free Jared.
Anything new here?
But simply retweet. And I encourage you to be courageous. No more darkness.
No more darkness.
Victims of the cruel and powerful deserve a voice. Truth is the sword that slays the monsters, so let there be truth. Free speech matters.
Damn, man, Steven Crowder has become like the final boss in like in this conservative crusade. My goodness, the final boss. He's like the darkness shall slay the light. He's talking like it's Beowulf's about to slay the dragon, man. My goodness, Steven Crowder is in a fucking pickle. This type of stuff doesn't just poof and go away. This is the type of stuff that content creators can throw at Steven Crowder again and again and again and again until he addresses it. It's been a rumor forever. People have been hearing about it forever. Now we just have confirmation of these NDAs publicly and a lot more accusations of what just looks like, according to him, before we've seen all the documents, as he's asking to be taken away from the NDA. And I gotta say, the person who wants to leave the NDA to talk about it and the person trying to keep them in the NDA, I do lean towards one. I do lean towards one when it comes to, oh, who am I believing a little bit more here? Who am I believing a little bit more here? Because what trade secrets does Steven Crowder have that this guy could reveal? Like how to properly do like racist caricatures, how to properly like call like trans women men, how to like what's the brilliant trade secret that's gonna be put out there? Like, oh, how to do a black voice. There we go. How to do a black voice for an impression. We don't want that getting over to the Daily Wire now, do we? My goodness. We don't want Ben Shapiro to figure out how to do my black gangster impressions. No, get out of here. There is something that happened at the company that they don't want to get out. I don't know what trade secrets it could be, but at this point, if they continue to hold the NDA while then trying to disclaim their side of the story, it's going to look super suspicious unless they have a specific trade secret reason they can give for the NDA's existence outside of, we don't want people to hear about all the really scummy shit we did to our employees, to this guy, that makes us look terrible, could lead to a drop in viewership, and could lead to the collapse of Steven Crowder's reputation, which has already taken multiple public blows from previous scandals. Look, the conservative sphere is seeing a lot of infighting right now. Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. Candace Owens and Steven Crowder, I think, went at it. And if you see down here, you can see Candace Owens in the replies supporting Jared Monroe. Wait till they find out what he's been doing to his wife. I never edited my opinion on Steven Crowder because I knew that everything would eventually be revealed. This is really going to be the year of revelations. I mean, he can't avoid this. He can't avoid this now.